As far as religious, ritualistic abuse goes of the sacrificial lamb, I'm going to go ahead and speak out because mine started at age 2, sexual abuse from the age of 2 until I was 10, followed by institutionalizing me when I rebelled and started running away from home, then followed up with being shipped off to a cult Baptist brainwashing boarding academy in southern Missouri that was later shut down on allegations of child abuse after a botched escape attempt in the boys' dorm led to a murder. There we ate, drank, slept, shit, and pissed the Bible. It wasn't just Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night. It was Monday morning, you get up, brush your teeth, have devotions, go to line up for breakfast, sing and pray, eat your breakfast, come back to the dorm, get ready for school, go to school, and have devotions. Then you would learn out of Christian paces. I was there for 3 years. Both of my ex-husbands took financial advantage. When we divorced, I didn't seek alimony, and they sought to get out of as much child support as humanly possible. I went to college after walking away from drugs. Listening to the music made me rethink my actions and what I was doing. I did really well in school, in college. Enjoyed it. Left college and was, left the community college and was introduced to the professor that I'd studied under at Arapahoe Community College, their family friend, Kenneth Thompson Fish. And that was within a year. I should have left. At that point in time, I was a single mother to 2 young girls and doubted my ability to be able to financially make it. Tried everything, counselor after counselor after counselor after counselor after counselor after counselor. His story about his first fiance, his dad, changed a year in when I brought it to the attention of one of the counselors we were seeing. Twice in our relationship, he mentioned to me, and the second time in front of my youngest, that the only mistake he made when his mother died was picking up the phone and calling 911 because the cops showed up and put up crime scene tape. The second time he said it right before I left him, 9 years in, really set off alarm bells. People make mistakes when someone dies if they had something to do with it. Otherwise, it isn't a mistake to call 911. Why are you protecting your image? Who gives a fuck about your image if your mom dies? He said she just went in the bedroom to take a nap and died of a broken heart. However, when I lived with him, I remember what it was like having to beg to go to the hospital. A lot of this is on file with the Arapahoe County Courts and the Chaffee County Courts, Salida, and a suburb of Denver. when I left Kenneth Thompson Fish, my ex, Brady James Godwin, immediately attacked me. Took my child and made all kinds of allegations. Luckily, a couple days before he did this, I'd gotten really sick and ended up in the hospital, and they ran a bunch of tests on me. And that happened to be what enabled me to get my child back, because one of the accusations he made was that I was strung out on drugs. And they had run a 12-panel drug screen at the hospital, and the only thing that was in my system was my prescription. That subsequently was all the judge allowed me to admit as evidence, despite the overwhelming amount of evidence that I provided via electronic documentation that I had, to the contrary of the claims that my ex-husband, Brady James Godwin, was making. I mean, tons and tons. I let the judge know that I knew my ex-husband had gotten off for check fraud in another state because his family had paid off judges, and that I had alerted the Attorney General to the fact that this case was going on. Tones changed, and I got my child back. And immediately wound back up in court. This time it wasn't in Arapahoe County. This time it was in Chaffee County. I went through Salida. I was tied up in Salida for a year with this court stuff. There happened to be a social safety net program going on in the town called Salida Circus. And they were supposedly a circus with a purpose. I started working with them and volunteering with youth a couple times a week. And at various festivals and stuff like that. I also started nannying in the town. Had 6 children in my care, ranging in ages from 6 months old to 5 years old. 3 different families had hired me as a nanny share. Otherwise, I wouldn't have stayed in Salida. I wouldn't have joined the circus. During that year of working with the Salida Circus, specifically their director, Jennifer Dempsey, I mentioned multiple times that I had an interest in going down to Mexico and working at the border wall where the Latino families were being separated from their children, and wanted to help. Jennifer Dempsey said that she would 50% sponsor a trip for me to go down and take part in the clowning and caring program that Patch Adams was running. Then he would introduce me to everyone I needed to know down there in order to do what I wanted to do. I had been studying Espanol and went down there and was sexually violated by Patch Adams. And based upon his behavior with blind children, children with learning abilities that are different, having them reach into his pocket, or he would take the fish out of his pocket and he would say, "Touch my fish, touch my fish." I also noticed that Jennifer Dempsey's favorite game to play is Go Fish. And on one side of Jennifer Dempsey is Kenneth Thompson Fish, the carpenter. And on the other side, the Patch Adams, Touch My Fish. Definitely, at the very least, grooming children network. When I got back to Salida, I was silenced by Jennifer Dempsey. It took her 2 weeks to even meet with me, and I did take one of the parents with me to the meeting, where I was told if I had anything to say about this in public or wanted to write about it, I had to run it by the circus first. I told them I hadn't signed a contract with them and that silence culture is rape culture. Left that meeting and hoped that Jennifer would rethink her position and stand up and stand behind me. That didn't happen. I started looking into Jennifer Dempsey's past, according to the story she herself was telling. And it was very sketchy. I immediately left the town, came down here to Denver, and used my Facebook page that I had at the time, I don't have it anymore, to warn everyone. The spiritual and psychological attacks started while I was in Salida and didn't slow down when I got back to Denver. Before I was introduced to and moved in with Kenneth Thompson Fish, I had chronic complex post-traumatic stress disorder and ADHD. I won't tell you about my other disorders, but I would definitely qualify for disability. I survived all of this and still have a child in tow. I hope social workers and others take this message very seriously. Freedom of religion includes but is not limited to freedom from religion, and that includes children. I think this is disgusting. When I left Mountain Park Baptist Cult Brainwashing Academy, we all dubbed ourselves Mountain Park Survivors. Surviving that should have been enough. I won't be silent. I won't be quiet about what's happening. This is fucked up. If you require us as a sacrifice, what the fuck are you doing?